Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today I would like to share my opinion and first impressions about the new Raven Guard Combat Patrol. As usual, remember that this is just my opinion and I invite you to let me know in the comments what you think about this new Combat Patrol. Anyway, enough of the introduction, let's start talking about the contents of this new box. If we get this new Combat Patrol, we are going to get a unit of 10 Infiltrators. And remember that we can alternatively assemble these miniatures as incursors. Then we're getting a unit of 5 Assault Intercessors with jump packs, an Invictor Tactical Warsuit, and leading this combat patrol we have a Space Marine Captain with jump pack. Before I share my opinion, I want to say, very important, that I'm not going to judge these miniatures having in mind how they perform in game. Because we know that the game is evolving all the time, so I'm just going to judge this box by its contents and the miniatures by themselves. I consider that this is a very good combat patrol and it's a very good Raven Guard combat patrol. Even if I personally don't like the Invictor Tactical Warsuit, because in a world where Dreadnoughts exist, I don't get the point of this miniature. But still, I have to admit that this is a really good combat patrol, and especially if we have in mind that it's themed as Raven Guard. Let's start talking about the miniatures one by one. First, we have the 10 Infiltrators, super cool looking miniatures wearing Phobos armor. And as I said previously, it's a dual kit, so basically we can assemble 5 of them as Infiltrators and 5 of them as incursors, unless we want to follow the rules of the combat patrol games and have them like they are in the box. So it's always nice to have like this variety of options for one unit, and they look great. We can use all the poses, we can have like very nice miniatures there. I'm very happy to have these Phobos miniatures inside of this combat patrol. Then we have a unit of 5 Assault Intercessors with jump packs. And I have to say that it's good to have this type of miniatures as part of a combat patrol because they're expensive. These 5 Assault Intercessors with jump packs, they cost almost as much as 10 regular Assault Intercessors. So yeah, it's nice to have them being part of a combat patrol because like that we can have a nice use for that discount. Then we have that magnificent looking Captain with jump pack that, I don't know, I really like how it pops out with the colors of the Raven Guard. It looks very nice, but the miniature by itself, it's awesome. It's a really cool looking captain. So again, it's super nice to have a cool looking captain inside of a combat patrol like this, and it suits a lot those intercessors with jump packs, so it's a really nice addition for a combat patrol. Then we have the Invictor Tactical Warsuit. Even if I don't like it that much, I have to say that seeing this miniature here, it's great, because I know that there's a lot of people that they want to have a nice looking centerpiece in every combat patrol, and here we have that. I mean, we have a nice selection of miniatures. The Invictor Tactical Suit by itself, it's okay, it's not bad. I don't like it, but it's not bad. It's a cool looking kit, there's different weapon options and there's variety to do things with it, so it's nice. It's also quite nice to repose, so I don't know, I like it as part of this combat patrol because it's themed. So we have a nice selection of miniatures that they suit each other quite nicely, I would like to mention. So I don't know, I like this combat patrol a lot because of all of that. Let's see it again. We have 10 Infiltrators, 5 Assault Intercessors with jump packs, we have a super cool looking character leading this combat patrol, and a nice centerpiece. Really, I mean, what else can we ask for a combat patrol? And it's not only that, it's that these are generic Space Marines. If we don't like the Raven Guard and we want to have these miniatures, then we can go for this combat patrol and we can just paint them in the colors of the chapter that we want. Like, for example, me. I do not have a single miniature inside of this combat patrol, not a single one. So I look at this and it's like, actually, this is very tempting, because here I have a nice selection of miniatures, I don't have a single one of them, and because of that, when I look at this combat patrol, it's like, okay, this is very interesting. Having this combat patrol with a specific theme I mean a specific theme of miniatures and being all of them generic Space Marines, it's perfect because right now there's a lot of different combat patrols for Space Marines, so we can mix them together and like that we can have a very nice foundation for any Space Marine army that we want to build. And talking about mixing different combat patrols, do you know which one comes to my mind? The Blood Angels Combat Patrol, because inside of that Combat Patrol we have a Sanguinary Guard, we have Assault Intercessors, and then we have a Captain. So if we combine these two Combat Patrols together, we can have the Captain with Jump Pack leading the Sanguinary Guard, we can have the other Captain leading Assault Intercessors, but then we can use the upgrades from the Blood Angels Combat Patrol to turn these Assault Intercessors with jump packs and have them being part of the Death Company. And I don't know, those infiltrators are always welcome in any collection, and aside from that we get a centerpiece in form of an Invictor Tactical Warsuit, so it's a nice example of two combat patrols that we can combine together. But not only that, I can mention more of them because the miniatures that are part of this combat patrol are generic, so if they suit any of the other combat patrols, it's going to be great. And I don't want to put more examples because if not I'm not going to finish, because basically I can mix this combat patrol with any other combat patrol and it's going to be great. I don't know, I just think that this combat patrol, it's almost perfect, I will say. It really suits the vibe of the Raven Guard and it's perfect because we can combine it with any other Space Marine chapter, and everything here is generic Space Marines, it's just that it's the themed one of the Raven Guards. So again, we can paint them in different ways, they can be part of any chapter, and I don't know, even if I don't like one of the miniatures there, I have to say that this is one of the best combat patrols that I have seen so far. But remember the most important part of any combat patrol, and is that it is much better to get these miniatures inside of a combat patrol rather than buying them individually, because inside of the combat patrol we have a nice discount. And again, remember that if we buy miniatures that we don't want just because they are discounted, are we really saving money? And to be honest, this is just my opinion. If you like the contents of this combat patrol and you want to get these miniatures, then it's a perfect combat patrol. If you don't like the contents of this combat patrol and you don't want to get these miniatures, then it's not a good combat patrol. In my case, I like it a lot. Thankfully, I have a lot of things to paint and assemble, so I'm not going to be tempted. But as I said, actually there's nothing in this combat patrol that I already have, so when I look at this combat patrol it's like, this looks very tempting for me. Anyway, these are my first impressions and my opinion about this combat patrol, so again I invite you to let me know in the comments what you think about this new box. And obviously if you like what I do and you would like to support my work and help me to continue growing, I invite you to check the link to my Patreon in the description. And with all of that being said, this is it, this is the end of the video, these are my first impressions and my opinion about the new Raven Guard Combat Patrol. As always, if you are still here, please consider giving me a like and subscribing. Thank you very much for watching and see you next time.